I opened my eyes and saw a white ceiling. The walls surrounded me and seemed to crush me. I tried to move, but I couldn't. It worked. I seemed to be constrained. I didn't even could turn her head, rolling my eyes, trying to see the space. I only saw the wires, apparently connected to some supply devices. Panic inside me flew, I thought, or I said. No words appeared in head, somehow separate from all thoughts, but so natural that I did not give it values. The main task was to understand where me and how I got here. Last night we celebrated Artem's birthday, met for 6 months. We had a common passion, motorcycles. Night after the party, the company we went for a ride, watching over, flying in front of Artyom's motorcycle. I noticed that he drove on a flashing green traffic light. Stop flashed. Thought, stop crazy. But I don't. Stopped and rushed to the red light. On this, memories were interrupted. It seems that the place where I landed. Mentally, I chuckled. Yeah, of course I have again somehow. A thought flashed strangely, as if not mine. I tensed up with me, talking to myself. Not by myself again. A quiet voice answered me. I realized why I thought the first one was weird. Thought. When I came to my senses, it was someone else's voice. Now he's talking to me, but I can't turn around to see him. I started the dialogue without seeing the interlocutor. Where am I in the hospital? Did I crash into a cake with Artyom? What? Your Artyom is healthy. Me what? On the verge. Listen, speak louder, stand up so that I can see you, and then I have the feeling that I'm talking in emptiness. It's useless wherever I stand. You will not see me. You can assume that I am the voice in your head, your inner voice in my head. Stop talking nonsense and show yourself. Me, or get out of here if you don't want to. Help. I help keep you on this light. And if I leave, everyone will go to feed worms. Very funny, you idiot. I started to get angry. Not only is this type hides from my sight, so he still mocks. That invisible one continued. Oh my God. Are you stupid or something? You can call names as much as you like, so I advise you to accept and be silent. Be silent, you use my helplessness, scoff at the need. Me. The opening door interrupted our dialogue. 2 doctors entered the ward, Artyom, my girlfriends and mom and dad. My closest people, with mournful. They kissed me in turn and left the room. I did not understand that. Happens, I screamed, but they were like deaf. Can't they hear me? I thought. No, you've been unconscious for weeks now. They came to say goodbye. Doctors do not give you chance, and whispered the same in my ear. Voice. No, I'm still alive. Stop. Them, tell them that I'm alive. Well, tell me. They won't hear me, you see that I don't can. But somehow you could, otherwise. Well, first of all, your dad, his heart is not. Endure the loss of his daughter, he will die soon. After your funeral. Second, mom. Having buried her husband's daughter, she will not be able to with this live and commit suicide. Thirdly, yours girlfriend and your Artyom, they will together. It is not true. It's really finished. The voice of his fiery speech. Suddenly, the door opened and Artyom entered the room. All trembled in the hope that now he will understand that I am alive and all this will end like a bad dream. Can't help but understand that he loves me. But Artyom ran his hand through my hair and said, well, that's all right. He kissed me on the forehead and gone, taking with him the last hope for the fact that my loved ones will understand that I'm alive. So why didn't you tell him anything? I began to resent when we with the voice were alone again. I knew I felt That he did not leave the room. He wouldn't like me. Hurt sadly, he whispered in response, and if you're going to, he didn't have time to finish. The door opened again and in Mom entered the ward, sitting on the edge bed. Mom took my hand and through tears began to beg to return to her. I yelled with all her strength, "Mommy, mommy." But she did not react, continued something. Mumble and choke tears. What to me? Do? I shouted to the unseen. Concentrate, show her that you're alive, it's your last chance, come on. My wish to live was so great that having gathered together all the forces that were still warm in my broken body, I sent them to my hand and squeezed my mother's fingers. Still whole. I spent a year in the hospital, 2 more. Rehabilitation, learned everything again, this. It was very scary and incredibly painful. But still I was more fortunate than others. I was smart enough not to tell anyone about the same voice that spoke to me in reanimation. At first I thought that I had a lot damaged brain, so I'm chatting with voices in my head. But my keeper reassured me that I was okay. Sometimes there are times when angels must be in direct contact with wards. He told about himself. Also adored motorcycles. Once had an accident. Just like I was in a coma, but died. And me. Pulled out, and was very proud of it. Only through a few days after my resurrection, Artyom came to visit me. Went crazy, all 20 minutes while Artyom was sitting in my ward. The keeper hissed at me. Drive him away. After the departure of my beloved, demanded an explanation. Believe me, so would be a better answered voice. Yes, you just jealous, I laughed, and the voice in my Artyom sighed heavily in his head. And while cooking, they even come to visit you together. But come in one at a time, why do you think? And here is the light that for some reason you do not like. Treats you very warmly. Svetka, ex-girlfriend of Artyom. If anyone does not trust, so it's her. While cooking, my girlfriend with childhood, she definitely will not betray me. Issued. I decided to fall asleep so as not to think anymore about it. I did not believe the keeper, did not want to believe. Light came to me a couple of times a week. After accidents with Artyom are less and less frequent. Once when I've already started to get back on my feet. Artyom's visit, I looked out the window to watch him go and wave hand, and saw that he left the hospital, holding the waste cook. They both even heads. Did not raise, did not look in my direction. As if I didn't exist. Still through a week came herself cooking, admitted that she and Artyom have been together for a long time. It was very embarrassing and painful. But honestly, I'm thankful for this. The keeper was right, but how could an angel be wrong? I just got used to his stupid jokes and wise admonition that I did not believe. When one day I heard from him, well, that's all I turn off. But no, I'm always there, and now. What else? If you want to live, forget about the motorcycle. Then I lived for a long time in useless. Trying to talk to him, sensitively. Listening to the silence, but the silence was silence. But I always feel it. Presence, I know he is near. Second story. I often stayed overnight with a guy, we cooked, talked a lot and watched movies like that. And on that evening that we will not forget. Never. Dima, as usual, is located on couch with chips, and I got a job at his legs. All the time that the movie was on and nowhere. Went away and even practically did not move. After, at the end of the movie, I went to the kitchen. And only then I noticed on my leg. Handprint, the first thing that came in. Dima's head put his hand on me. Leg, but I don't. I remember. Yes, and an imprint, I looked closely. Better does not look like a hand at all. Guy. Rather it was a narrow palm with very long thin fingers. Dumb. To say such things as if it were death itself. Touched you and left mine. Label. I ran to him. He looked at me, not understanding. We were both waiting for recognition. from each other that it's some kind of ridiculous joke, although they perfectly understood that the imprint is really not diminutive, and I go to him. I have no relation to him. Still I decide to go to bathroom, try to wash your leg, but the light does not turn on, probably burned out. Light bulb, I try to wipe the print in the kitchen, and finally convinced that it's not paint, it's a real handprint by Dima's face, who watched me. I wipe it all off, I realize that it's the same. Like I'm terrified. Just him tries not to give a look. And then they begin. Quite incredible things happen. Out of the corner of our eye we notice how it lights up the light in the bathroom, and immediately goes out. After again and again. In the dark we stand numb, out of fear, and watch as by itself flips the switch. That was the last drop. I grab the phone outerwear, and I run out of the apartment. Dima follows me. Both hands are shaking with fear. Close. The door turned out far from the first times. With all legs we run into the yard, and while Dima starts the car, I raise my eyes to windows of our apartment. Human silhouette. Dima, look. I scream as I get into the car and point to the window. Dima raises his eyes, but is already in the window. There is not anyone. Not wanting to understand the truth. There was someone, or it seemed to me. He gives gas and went to his friend, completely forgetting all the rules. Decency. We are without a call, late in the evening. We break into a friend's apartment. No one at night. Of us didn't sleep. Talk, speculation. Attempts to explain everything that is happening. Nikita swore 100 times that we would not play out. At dawn we came to a conclusion. That you still need to return to this creepy apartment and once again carefully inspect everything. Decided not to postpone long box, and all three of us went to Nightmare Place. Entering the apartment, we saw scattered things. I went in bathroom and flipped the light switch. Caught fire. Going into the bath I found a real pogrom. All the things that stood scattered on the nightstand and sink, as if someone in hysterics waved his hands and accidentally touched the rest of the apartment. Looks like usual. Having consulted, we decided that for now we will live on a rented apartment. The guys started to collect things. The doorbell rang. I went to open. On the threshold stood a neighbor with a small baby in your arms, not letting me insert. And the words she began to swear and yell that completely fucked up, stomped here all night. Some incomprehensible sounds were emitted, yet once and call the police. I was in shock and began to object, and tried to prove that we were not at home that night. It was all would be useless. You understand, no one would believed. I even apologized and promised be quieter in the future. Now we are with Dima. We rent an apartment. We try to go to his house. Walk as little as possible and only in bright light. Time of day. Handprint came off, by the way. Very long. Before how to put on the shorts I covered it with a toner for a long time. Want. Sell this apartment. I sympathize with those who will buy her.